We are counting down the 8 most unhealthy packaged bread brands found on UK shelves this year, ranked from worst to, well, slightly less bad. From loaves loaded with gut-disrupting additives and mystery emulsifiers, to everyday bread spiking your family's blood sugar and brands that hide shocking amounts of salt and chemicals behind wholesome marketing, this list exposes where ultra-processing and profit come before health. Which bread lands at number 1? And more importantly, what should you put on your table instead? Let us get straight into it, starting with number 8. Warburtons sits on millions of UK breakfast tables, but behind its familiar orange and blue packaging, the ingredient list raises serious questions. E472E, an emulsifier found in many Warburtons loaves, is designed to keep bread soft and uniform for days on end. But studies led by Dr. Benoit Chassing and echoed by Professor Tim Spector have linked emulsifiers such as E472E to disruptions in gut bacteria, potentially weakening the gut lining and fueling inflammation over time. This is not some fringe concern. Growing evidence ties these additives to changes in the microbiome that may affect everything from digestion to long-term health. Then there is the matter of flour treatment agents. Across the industrial bread sector, L-cysteine has a long history of being sourced from duck feathers or even human hair. Warburtons claims all their flour improvers are now vegetarian and made from non-animal sources. But there is no independent public verification, and the lack of supplier transparency keeps the issue alive. For families choosing bread every week, that is an ethical gray area, not just a technicality. Even the gluten-free lines, often sold as a healthier choice, tell their own story. 12 or more ingredients, including starches, gums, and multiple stabilizers, all work to mimic real bread texture. It is a far cry from the traditional recipe of flour, water, salt, and yeast. For those seeking a safer alternative, genuine sourdough, made with just a handful of ingredients and slow fermentation, offers a clear contrast. Warburtons may not be the worst offender for sugar or salt, but the reliance on gut-disrupting emulsifiers and a lack of ingredient transparency put it firmly in the red flag zone. Number 7. Hovis. Hovis trades on a wholesome, nostalgic image: village bakers, golden fields, and the smell of real bread. But a look at the label tells a different story. Many Hovis loaves contain caramel coloring listed as E150D. This is added to deepen color and give the illusion of a slow-baked crust. It is not simple burnt sugar. It is an industrial colorant that can carry traces of 4-methylimidazole, often called 4-MEI, a compound linked in animal studies to cancer risk at high doses. United Kingdom regulators consider the levels in bread safe, but the presence of 4-MEI in an everyday staple exposes a hidden toxicology debate most shoppers never see. Then there is the fat. Hovis uses palm oil because it is cheap, shelf-stable, and easy to blend. Palm oil's environmental cost is well documented, but for families, the real concern is a bread that is more about cost-cutting than nourishment. Soya flour is another shortcut, almost always from genetically modified crops, unless specifically labeled organic. It helps dough rise and stay soft, but it brings a GMO footprint into what is sold as a traditional British loaf. Even the wholemeal claim deserves scrutiny. Some Hovis loaves are made by milling wheat to white flour, then adding back bran or wheat germ to legally qualify as wholemeal. The result is a reconstructed grain, stripped of much of its natural structure and fiber. It is a legal trick that lets Hovis market an ultra-processed product as healthy wholemeal, while the nutritional reality falls short. For shoppers seeking real bread, look for brands with clear whole grain sourcing, short ingredient lists, and no caramel color. The gap between Hovis branding and what is actually in the bag is wide, and it is families who pay the price at the table. Kingsmill bread lines the shelves in nearly every UK supermarket, but the impact of eating it daily goes far beyond convenience. The standard white loaf from Kingsmill carries a glycemic index of around 75, almost as high as eating cake. That high GI matters, and it changes how the body handles energy. Just a couple of slices can cause blood sugar to spike rapidly and then crash, setting off a roller coaster that leaves children and adults hungrier, craving more, and at greater risk for insulin resistance over time. Dr. Giles Yeo, a leading Cambridge nutrition scientist, has warned that bread with a glycemic index this high puts real metabolic stress on the body, especially for children who may eat 3 or 4 slices a day. The so-called healthier 50-50 range, often promoted as a balanced choice, still features high fructose glucose syrup on the ingredient list. This sweetener is not just about taste. Studies led by Dr. Kimber Stanhope have linked regular intake to increased liver fat and a higher chance of developing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. In Kingsmill, sugar consistently ranks among the top 3 ingredients, making these loaves closer to ultra-processed snacks than a traditional staple. This is bread that acts more like a dessert in disguise, driving up sugar intake in families who think they are making a sensible choice. Refined rapeseed oil, another standard ingredient, adds to the problem. The industrial refining process can produce small amounts of trans fats and oxidized compounds, both of which are associated with increased inflammation and higher risk for heart disease. For a food eaten at breakfast, lunch, and often as a quick snack, these hidden risks add up fast. The word to remember here is inflammation. For those seeking a safer swap, real whole grain sourdough or sprouted grain bread, ideally with a short, recognizable ingredient list, offers steady energy without the blood sugar spikes. Kingsmill may look like a family-friendly brand, but the combination of a high glycemic index, added sugars, and industrial oils makes it a daily risk few can afford to ignore. Pick real bread when you can, and read the label for simplicity and real ingredients. Sainsbury's own brand bread is a fixture in UK kitchens, but its ingredient list tells a different story than the marketing. Calcium propionate, labeled E282, is a preservative used to keep these loaves soft and mold-free well beyond their natural shelf life. While legal and widespread, studies reviewed by Dr. Emma Derbyshire and cited in recent public health reports have raised concerns about its impact on children. There is growing evidence that regular consumption of propionate preserved bread may be linked to irritability, sleep disruption, and behavioral changes in sensitive kids. For families who rely on supermarket bread every day, these findings are hard to ignore. The flour itself is another point of concern. Sainsbury's economy loaves are made with heavily refined white flour, stripped of much of its natural fiber and nutrients. UK law requires that this flour be fortified with calcium and B vitamins, but no chemical bleaching agents are used. Those have been banned since the late 1990s. The result is bread that meets the legal minimum for nutrition, but falls short of what most people expect from a wholesome staple. The fortification process cannot replace the complex structure of whole grain, and the end product is often little more than a vehicle for additives. Mono and diglycerides, common emulsifiers in these loaves, are often listed on the label without any note of their source. Activist groups and vegetarian societies have repeatedly flagged this as a problem, since these emulsifiers can be made from either plant oils or animal fats. For vegetarians, vegans, and people following certain religious diets, the lack of clear sourcing is a real gap in transparency. Sainsbury's has yet to provide full public supplier documentation, leaving shoppers in the dark. If you want a better option, Sainsbury's does offer higher fiber, whole grain breads with fewer additives. Look for loaves with 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams and a short ingredient list. The main issue with their basic range is not just the price, but the reliance on cost-driven preservatives and the lack of clear, trustworthy labeling. In a market where shoppers want to know what is in their food, these gaps matter. Asda Smart Price white bread sells itself as the ultimate bargain, but the real cost is hidden in the ingredient list. While some countries once allowed azotocarbonamide, a flour improver better known for use in yoga mats and shoe soles, the United Kingdom banned that chemical in bread years ago. That did not stop Asda Smart Price from loading loaves with other ultra-processed additives. Preservatives like calcium propionate and emulsifiers such as mono and diglycerides are legal and widespread. They do one thing: keep bread soft and shelf-stable for weeks after baking. But the nutritional value falls apart. Independent lab analyses show fiber content in Asda Smart Price white bread around 0.8 grams per slice. For a food most families eat daily, this is shockingly low. The NHS recommends adults get at least 30 grams of fiber each day, but 6 slices of this bread barely cover 15% of that target. The result is a staple that fills you up without feeding your gut, leaving digestion sluggish and missing the chance to support a healthy microbiome. To mask the blandness of cheap, overprocessed flour, manufacturers add extra sugar and salt. Sugar appears high on the ingredient list, and salt levels are quietly elevated, pushing this loaf closer to processed snacks than to real bread. Those tweaks keep price and texture low, but they increase the risk of cravings, thirst, and overconsumption, especially in children who are more sensitive to sugar spikes and salt loads. For families wanting to upgrade without breaking the bank, supermarket rye or seeded sourdough usually offer more fiber, fewer additives, and real flavor. Asda Smart Price may win on price, but the trade-off is a bread that is more chemical formula than food, nutrient poor, fiber deficient, and built for shelf life, not health. Tesco value. White bread is a staple in countless UK homes, but here is a warning. It relies on a formula that trades nutrition for maximum shelf life and profit. The first red flag is modified wheat starch. This is not ordinary flour. Modified starch is chemically or physically altered to keep bread soft for days and resist stalling. Research using AOAC standard assays shows it can be harder to digest for some people, often causing bloating or discomfort. In lab studies, these starches break down quickly into glucose, producing the same high glycemic load that drives cravings and blood sugar swings, but without the benefits of natural fiber. The label also uses the vague term vegetable oil, which hides the true source. In practice, this usually means the cheapest available blend: refined rapeseed, soybean, or palm oil. These oils are processed at high temperatures, stripping natural antioxidants and creating unstable omega-6 fats. When eaten daily, especially in the oxidized form found in value bread, these fats have been linked in large cohort studies to chronic low-grade inflammation. That inflammation is a factor in arthritis, heart disease, and metabolic disorders. Tesco technical data rarely specifies which oil is in each batch, so shoppers cannot make fully informed choices about what they are eating. The nutritional panel tells the rest of the story. Fiber content in Tesco value. White is typically less than 1 gram per slice, which is comparable to eating a slice of cake. For families relying on this bread as a daily staple, that means missing out on a simple way to support gut health and regular digestion. Instead, the loaf delivers fast carbohydrates and hidden fats with little to slow absorption or feed the microbiome. Chronic low fiber intake is a known risk factor for constipation, sluggish digestion, and an increased risk for bowel disease over time. If you want a better option without breaking the bank, consider Tesco-owned organic or whole grain sourdough, which offers more fiber and far fewer additives. The key is to scan labels. Look for fewer than 7 ingredients, clear oil sourcing, and at least 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams. Tesco value. White may seem harmless, but its use of chemical texturizers and ambiguous oils makes it a daily risk, and it is easy to avoid by choosing a more transparent loaf. Lidl's Baker's Life bread promises the smell and warmth of a freshly baked loaf, but the reality begins in a factory hundreds of miles away. Most of these loaves are part baked in large industrial plants, often in Germany or Eastern Europe, then frozen and shipped across borders. Only the final bake happens in store, giving the illusion of freshness while hiding a supply chain built for efficiency, not nutrition. to survive freezing, transport, and the final bake. The dough is packed with processing aids, preservatives, extra gluten, and a cocktail of gums and emulsifiers. These additives keep the crumb soft and the crust golden, but they also stretch the definition of bread far from its roots. This heavy processing makes the product easier to produce at scale, but harder for some people to digest. Dextrose, a fast-absorbing sugar, is a standard ingredient in many Baker's Life loaves. It is added to speed browning and boost softness, but it also gives an extra sugar hit that pushes blood glucose up quickly. For shoppers trying to avoid hidden sugars, this is a trap. Bread that spikes energy, then lets it crash, creates cravings and metabolic stress. Processing aids, which can include enzymes and chemical stabilizers, often do not appear on the front of the pack. UK law allows some of these ingredients to go undisclosed if they are considered carried over from flour or used up in baking, leaving consumers in the dark about exactly what is in their daily slice. Between 2022 and 2025, Lidl's bakery lines have faced multiple product recalls, documented by Which Magazine and the Real Bread campaign. Incidents include loaves contaminated with metal fragments, plastic pieces, or undeclared allergens, failures that highlight the risks of mass-scale automated production. For families with allergies or young children, these lapses are real hazards. Salt content is quietly high. Some Baker's Life loaves exceed 1 gram of salt per 100 grams, meaning that just 4 slices can deliver nearly a third of the NHS recommended daily limit. For people who eat bread at every meal, the numbers add up quickly, fueling high blood pressure and increased heart risk over time. The freshly baked image is a marketing illusion, masking a product that is frozen, shipped, and finished with a long list of industrial ingredients. For anyone seeking real bread, look for the Real Bread campaign mark or independent bakery loaves with fewer than 7 ingredients. The difference is more than taste. It is transparency, digestibility, and peace of mind. Aldi's Village Bakery range sits at the top of the worst offender list, and for good reason. In 2024, the Food Standards Agency detected trace levels of potassium bromate in several Aldi loaves, a flour improver banned in the UK because of links to cancer in animal studies. Aldi said it was a supply chain contamination and pulled the affected batches. But the incident exposed a regulatory blind spot because even when an ingredient is banned, dangerous additives can still slip through in mass-scale bread production. The FSA has not released full lab data to the public, and campaigners remain concerned about oversight, especially as Aldi sources flour from multiple suppliers across Europe. The ingredient list raises further alarm. Calcium sulfate, a dough conditioner and calcium source also found in plaster of Paris, appears in many village bakery loaves. This compound is permitted in bread, but often acts as a cheap filler. Nutritionists warn it may interfere with the absorption of other minerals and upset digestion for some people. For families with sensitive guts or children prone to tummy aches, this is not a risk worth taking in a food eaten daily. Salt content in Aldi's standard white loaves is among the highest on UK shelves, about 0.4 grams per slice. That means just 6 slices, the amount a family might eat in a day, delivers nearly 2.5 grams of salt, around 40% of the NHS recommended daily maximum. Professor Graham McGregor of Action on Salt has singled out Aldi in public health reports, warning that bread is the single biggest source of hidden salt in the British diet. High salt intake is a proven driver of high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke risk. In a country where bread is a daily staple, these numbers add up fast. Aldi's so-called superseded loaves offer another layer of deception. Packaging highlights a generous layer of seeds, selling an image of wholesome, fiber-rich bread. But a look at the ingredients reveals the truth. These loaves are mostly refined white flour with seeds sprinkled on top for appearance. The fiber content remains low, and the nutritional value is little better than plain white bread. It is a marketing trick that leaves shoppers paying more for a loaf that does not deliver the health benefits it promises. These factors combined, banned additive risk, high salt, misleading health cues, and industrial shortcuts, make Aldi Village Bakery the worst packaged bread brand to avoid in 2025. For anyone seeking real bread, the solution is simple. Check the label for fewer than 7 ingredients, avoid calcium sulfate and excess salt, and look for genuine whole grain or sourdough loaves. Aldi's size and resources could deliver better bread, but the current formula puts profit and shelf life ahead of public health. Across all 8 entries, one pattern is clear. Mass-produced UK bread is engineered for profit and shelf life, not human health. Additives, hidden sugars, and industrial shortcuts have replaced real nourishment in a daily staple. This isn't just about bread, it is about what we accept in our food. Change starts when we demand better. What will you choose for your table? Share your thoughts below.